Hey guys, welcome to the Dev Fireside podcast. I'm here joined tonight by Liz and Howard from the office. So welcome guys.
Hello.
We're going to keep it pretty minimalist today. This week we're going to cover a lot of the information that's been going on, the new update we had earlier in the week on Wednesday, and a little bit of the plans we have going forward to the eventual PS4 launch. So I guess without a further ado, we'll cover real quick all the events that's been going on at the office. Howard, do you want to fill us in on some interesting stories? Oh, I think you're still muted.
Oh yeah, you're right. So this week is just basically still sort of pushing towards more clarity on PlayStation for gun takers anyway. Well, some of the things that we were able to get done would be finally getting the ratings, the European ratings, and then there was a sort of an issue with submitting assets to the Sony, essentially the Sony submission portal. So I think we're trying to change the formatting of our graphics to support that. I mean, I spent some time working on the I guess the quote unquote white paper of the porting development process, just talking about some of the issues and challenges that we face. So it's in part technical, but in part just sort of overall problem solving. And part of it is also trying to get more clarity on the release date. Right now, we're actually looking more at April. So that's it's definitely pushed back a little bit, right? That later than we wanted, but in the grand scheme of things, not as bad, as big of a deal. The update is up. And then we did a little bit of planning for just the content for the next update. In terms of other projects, with Amsterdam, recently we've been just focusing on trying to finish up all the core mechanics. So we just about finalized with the design of the last boss. And we're basically going to systematically look at ease of use issues, and we did another pass of the tutorial, which actually seemed to have worked a lot better. So just basically doing stuff like that. Our goal is to try to wrap up all the core mechanics and do some general polish and clear up a lot of the ease of use issues that we've accumulated and trying to get to a Kickstarter, hopefully by the end of this quarter, somewhere around there. Let's see, with the horror stealth action project. For the last 2 weeks, we have been doing a lot of experimentation with space distortion, orientation, and essentially fragmentation. So we're taking the environment that we've constructed to see how we can pull it apart and arrange them in interesting ways, and see what mechanics and essentially puzzle elements we can derive from it. So some of what we did is okay, one aspect of what we're doing is basically to experiment with space orientation. So there would be ways for you to essentially reorient yourself, right? Like you walk on a wall and the wall becomes the ground, and then you walk on the ceiling becomes the ground, that kind of thing. And then another thing is just we built this way to kind of dynamically shift space. So it's we have two alternative reality and levels, right? That we sort of overlay on top of each other, or mesh it on top of each other. And then so there will be sort of this detection zone that kind of goes back and forth in the level. And you can basically just sort of transport yourself from one reality to the next and back. And then we try to create some puzzle mechanics off of that. So there'll be some stuff that you can see or passage that you can get through in one reality that you can't in the other, and you sort of kind of have to walk, sort of just kind of, I don't know, teleport you between the two. We did some stuff with like space orientation. So like, you can, trigger some like, like a button, say, right? You have a trigger and it rotates the geometry of the space around and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the vision for the game and how it's played, there will be horror. There will be it's also a stealth action game at its core. But we're doing a lot of experimentation with how the space orients, just because to play with this construct of, order and chaos between like a, digitized, like orderly space versus like, a more organic and basically more organic and menacing type of chaos. Yeah, and the space building or planet building projects is coming along. Last week we did a lot of movements. This week we're doing more with exploration and resource collection and things like that, and populating the space with more interesting stuff. Yeah. So, anyways, they're in part it's like trying to wrap up some existing stuff. In part doing a lot of experimentation.
Interesting. So because it's interesting to hear about how you're breaking down some of the gameplay here with this game that you're describing. So with the fragmentation, does that mean we're going to have modular levels, like there's content that can be kind of recycled and reused in different ways? Players to perhaps look at making custom content for that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we will because we want to, this is eventually going to be a co-op experience, right? You can play single player, but there's also a co-op component. Yeah. And for that, we wanted to, we want to see if there's a way to procedurally generate levels, which means that, we'll have to, at least some of the level content we're thinking to be modular, and at least like a lot of the mechanics, like the sort of the elements that we have, the environmental components or elements and mechanics and systems that we have, we want it to be somewhat flexible and modular. Although as far as like puzzles, right, like we'll have to craft some of these. So like it's very like plausible that at least one way we think about it is that like yes, we have these modular components that we can use to make levels with, but we can like essentially like say make a few of these like a number of these like levels, right, with different like mechanics, and some have like space distortion, some have like these oscillation between realities, and some have maybe like space rotations and whatnot, and you can essentially like so we can essentially construct a number of a set of these levels, and then essentially procedurally like pace out pace out how you're experiencing.
Cool. So when you say horror, will players be expecting more jump scares, or is it more of like an ambient horror, like environmental, or like
so there will be both. So there will be ambient environmental horror, like meaning we definitely we would definitely want the setting to be pretty eerie and scary. The encounter of like you and the enemy is definitely designed to be tense. It's not. So far, it's not like it's the enemies would be easily powered. Like it's essentially you think a bit Metal Gear, right? Like where
Metal Gear.
Essentially, we're essentially it's really a lot about stealthing around and performing maybe potentially stealth kills. Like at least the implementation we have is like centered around stealthing and stealth kill, and like if you get discovered, you're in big trouble.
Right. There's an evasion mechanic and everything.
Oh yeah. So right now, like we're actually doing some experimentation with like essentially enemy and monster design.
Okay.
So yeah, it is meant to be.
Is this like more of a sci-fi setting or more of a fantasy-esque or kind of modern world with some sort of
Yeah, I mean, there's
horror creature in that context? Like,
there's a cyberpunk element to it, juxtaposed against like sort of more, demented psychological like corruption. That's more organic.
Mhm.
So it's sort of a fusion between, these like more cyberpunk elements and the more organic horror stuff that you might see in something like Silent Hill, for example.
Yep. Cool. Nice. So just as a quick reminder for those of you watching, if you have friends who are interested in acquiring a copy of Guns of Icarus Alliance, we are actually on sale right now with the Chinese New Year sale. So the Lunar New Year. Yeah. But you can find it on Steam. I believe it's something like 80% off. It's quite a rebate. So if you want to gift a friend something like that, feel free to get them a copy this weekend because it's a heck of a sale. So well, let's talk a little bit about the update real quick. It's not as big as the previous one we've had, but it does include a new map for Alliance. It's called Blistered Abyss, and we actually played it yesterday during the dev games. We'll be continuing to play it next week as well, so people can check it out. It's available for 3-ship lobbies, and I believe 2-ship ones as well. But I haven't tested that one out. I've done the 3-ship lobby one set up so far, so pretty fun. It's a bit of a different kind of asymmetrical defense map, because that's what it is right now. So, and there's plans to like look at different ways of configuring that too. So you might see, different adaptations in the future. But for now, this is the map that we have available for Alliance, and you can check that out. We also are featuring the sort of Valentine's Day / Chinese New Year event, which is, it's part of the Fiery Passion mission. Basically, you just set fires on other player ships, any components, and when you get about 250 components burning, or stacks for that matter, you can earn yourself a free mask for both your female and male avatar. It's the Crybaby mask, including the broken decal as well, or broken heart decal for the ship itself if you're a captain. So, but we're also featuring a free item. It's the Year of the Dog decal, because that is in fact what year this is for the Chinese calendar. So that's pretty cool. And we've made a lot of different changes as well. We've included additions and changes to the Shrike, the Judgment, and for certain abilities like the Choppy, which is the static turret engineer ability. And for guns like the Salvo Neutralizer, sorry, that's an ability as well, but the Minotaur and Nemesis have both gotten those changes as well. So you can check out these finer details in our Steam forums and on the game forum. It has the changelog and all the changes in there as well. You might also notice that we have an EULA now. That was included primarily because of the PlayStation. Is that correct, Howard? Just sort of that unifying concept for all the content that's included. So, that's something we've been reaching out with players who've been making content for the game as well. So, yeah, mostly just like little things like that. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. You just agree to the agreement, and then you're back in the game again. So, pretty simple. Now, since we are looking at sort of an April-ish launch date, it's not totally clear what date it is. We are anticipating one more update before that launch. Is that correct?
Yeah, or right around the time of that launch. I mean, ideally, I want to see if we can sync the update with the release. It does, just because with PlayStation going forward, at least internally, the process will have to change a little bit, meaning that we have to freeze about 2 to 2.5 weeks earlier than, a week and to a week and a half earlier than we normally would be. So basically overall we'll be freezing about 2 to 2.5 weeks before we do a release. But this could potentially actually give us a little bit more time to do another map, which we were a little bit tight on time. But if with this release timing, we can definitely make another map, and maybe even have enough time to adopt it to PvP or to different game modes as well. So, or to just different like size lobby and stuff as well.
Yeah, we could definitely examine those things as well. Now, a lot of the bigger ideas, the feedback that I've been talking to you guys about from the Tuesday coffee hours and things like that, especially concerning moderator lobbies. These are features that are great and they're fantastic. We're going to hold off on those until after the PS4 launch, just so we make sure everything is ready to go and is smooth sailing when we do launch. But following that, we should anticipate some interesting updates. It just depends on what we can evaluate is, development worthy and what we can include if it works for the gameplay.
Yeah,
and hopefully we can see a lot of that content coming in. So
right now the issue is that the biggest issue is that like we pretty much had to keep a lot of the UI and feature set relatively stable and fixed before the PS4 release. I mean, because say if we add new things and whatnot, that may will make UI changes that may or may not have to go through certification and stuff again. So we kind of don't want to complicate the process and want to make sure that just because like, right now whatever changes we made, it goes all across all the different platforms, and we're in Sony's certification process now, so we kind of we need to actually make sure that things are stable, that we actually don't make big changes before we release. After we release, then sure, it's back to everything's fair games. But before release, I think there's more of a limitation as to what we can actually add in.
Yeah. But there's a lot of interesting ideas, so hopefully we can see those sometime in the future if they can work for us. So definitely there. I think that covers just about everything that's been going on this week. It's been a bit hectic as far as like those different fronts, especially at the office, but overall, yeah, pretty good. So don't forget, guys, after the hour where we publish this video, there will be the Iron Forker Friday, and Saturday will be featuring the Chaos Skirmish, following that with the Sunday Community Skirmish, and then Monker Monday mining kind of competition. So there are plenty of events. Check them all out. There's a lot of links from in-game that you can click onto the forums, and you can find out more information about each of those events and how they're hosted. So until then, we all will be featuring our dev games again on Tuesday next week, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's about 8 p.m. UTC. So
5 p.m. Eastern.
Sorry, 5 p.m. Eastern, you're right, which is then 10 p.m. UTC for everyone international. So don't miss it if you want to have a chance to check out some of the new maps with us, and even earn a couple free prizes too if you're looking to earn something from that as well. So, but on that note, guys, thanks for joining us. It was brief, but this is pretty informative session. We'll be covering more stuff for the next week as well. So, and I'll try to get some more questions in from our Dev Tuesday discussions, so we can see what we can kind of answer for you guys as well if you're curious about anything that we discussed this week and the update. And yeah, have a great weekend. And thanks for flying with Comes Vigorous. I guess we'll see you all on Tuesday then. So take care.
Bye.